Hi, I'm Eric Schmidt, and I write about music for Dirt.
Once known as the singer for the influential punk band Black Flag, Henry Rollins is often described these days as a Renaissance man with interests in writing, literature, politics, and satire. In this characteristically quotable interview, Rollins talks about his hectic work schedule, current events in the Middle East, and how if he could dig up 4 dead guys for stimulating conversation, they'd be writers, not musicians. Henry Rollins stops in Boulder for a spoken word performance at Mackey Auditorium November 5th.
Well, I don't even know where to start, I guess. Part of what I'm interested in is how you can manage to do so many different things at once and pull all of that off. So maybe you mind kind of walking me through all the stuff that you're up to right now beyond this tour. You also have a book coming out, and I hear your TV show is kind of being expanded for next year. And what else is going on?
Well, this year, tonight is like show 87 of the year, and there's like another 30 to go or something.
Okay.
So there's been a lot of shows.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of travel with the USO and on my own and touring this year. And this year is 2 books. One is out now. It's called Fanatic. It's on music. And the other one comes out in about a month, right around Thanksgiving. And that one is called Humanitarian. And it's just a bunch of very harsh political satire and fiction. And also, the TV show ran its season, and next year it goes from monthly to weekly.
Okay.
So it'll be 4 times the amount of broadcasts, which means 4 times the amount of everything else I've got to do, writing, prep, pre-production, and all that. So that'll be fairly time-intensive. Also this year I was working on another book that'll take about at least 2 years to finish, if that quickly. So this year was very busy and a lot of traveling and basically working 7 days a week. I'll never do 2 books again. That was a lot of work.
Okay.
And not 2 books in one year. That was a little too much work.
And is that kind of schedule something that you enjoy, or did it just kind of get overwhelming this year, or you like to keep busy?
No, I like to keep busy, but there's elements of book work, especially in the final draft phases, that if you're thinking about anything else, or at least if I'm thinking about anything else, I can be very hard to be around.
Okay.
And so it became difficult to do the day-to-day when I was in like the last 2 weeks of trying to knock off this Humanitarian book. I worked literally 49 straight days, between 3 and 14 hours a day on that book.
Man.
While doing the TV show and working at the office. So I would be, I guess what F. Scott Fitzgerald called living in the book, where I'd wake up in the morning, work on the book, do the office stuff, go home in the evening, work out, eat, go back to the office, work on the book again, like a second shift, go to bed at the office, wake up there, and go downstairs and, make some food, which is a protein bar and a cup of coffee, and go back to the damn computer and start the book again. Or take a 3-day break to go shoot the TV show and go back to the book. So I did all of that until the last possible day and handed in the final draft of the book so we could make our November deadline. And so that was it was pretty tough. But I like to work basically 6-7 days a week most of the time. And on tour, I do a lot of reading. So I'm always trying to read something, or a few things, actually. So on this tour, I've got a few books out with me, and I'm doing writing on a couple of different writing projects almost daily out here. I mean, there's a lot of, there's a good 3 hours of time every day on these tour buses where there's, nothing to do. Well, there's always something to do, but there's like some downtime where you can get some solid reading done, or some writing, or some thinking. So I do a lot of that. I try and watch the news so I can, see what's going on, and because it is very there's a lot going on these days.
Yeah, I definitely want to get to that. What are you reading these days?
Right now, I'm reading a collection of lectures of Nabokov that he lectured his students with on literature, which is really amazing because he talks about the mechanics that make a story or a novel go, and he breaks down different big literary classics, and he goes, well, here's why, and here's what Jane Austen did with this, and here's what makes this go, and it's just fascinating to get into Nabokov's mind. I mean, his brilliance is fairly intimidating. I mean, he's smarter than you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you read it, and you're like, damn. So it's kind of like art to read him. And this book was recommended to me many times by this one guy I know. So I'm really enjoying it. It's a little over my head, but I get enough of it to honestly say I'm enjoying it. I'm rereading Thomas Wolfe's first novel, Look Homeward Angel, but the second version of it, which has like all the parts that Scribner's left out.
Okay.
1926 or whenever they put it out. It is called Oh Lost, and I read it every October. I take it with me and read parts of. I read Thomas Wolfe every October. And what else do I have? I have Swan's Way by Marcel Proust out with me, and I'm loving that. I've never read Proust before, and he's incredible to me. I'm also reading Jihad by Ahmed Rashid, because I really enjoyed his book Taliban, and his books on the Middle East, or at least the Taliban and Al Qaeda, were recommended to me by a few different people. Okay. And I'm always, whenever I finish a book about that topic, the Soviet-Afghan conflict or the Taliban or Al Qaeda, I start another one. I'm constantly trying to educate myself on all of that.
Okay.
Just because I like to be fairly conversant on all that. Also, it's really fascinating. And I've been to Afghanistan twice, so it's fascinating to read about some of these places I have been to. And I'm reading Exile's Return by Malcolm Cowley, and I've been reading that one on and off for a few months now. He was a critic and around the time of Hemingway and F. Scott Fitzgerald and Thomas Wolfe, and he's basically one of the Lost Generation writers, and he was basically everyone's critic, and he's a very precise writer, and he was friends with all those guys, so it's an interesting take on